Don't stand in the way of love. Day before trip I ate very light, so I took the 2C-E on an empty stomach. Setting was medium lit room by myself with a group of friends on the internet. I kept my phone off. This was my first time tripping on psychedelics and I decided to do it alone since I couldn't find a reliable trip sitter. I'd smoked DMT 3 times before, only once was breakthrough, although I'm not sure if it counts as breakthrough. I was still slightly aware of myself, but I was interacting with entities. The 2CE was way more intense than I expected, and I had to try very hard to keep myself calm and try not to have it turn into a bad trip. I was very uncomfortable for most of the trip, and I was definitely overwhelmed, but I never freaked out and kept myself pretty grounded. I took very detailed notes on a notepad, on a forum, and in a chat room. This is a collection of the notes where I left out things that seem redundant or irrelevant. 11:55 p.m. 11 milligrams 2CE taken orally via gel cap. 12:35 p.m. Started watching movie Baraka to pass the time. Realized that simplistic shit can be beautiful. 12:45 p.m. Feel slightly off. 12:55 p.m. Walls are breathing ever so slightly, experiencing a sort of tingling feeling in my shoulders, trying to ignore oncoming nausea. 1:05 a.m. Smoke some cannabis, joint, for the now severe nausea, starting to feel waves of energy. 1:09 a.m. Getting stoned right as the psychedelics started to kick in made me feel like an alien. It was such a strange experience that I couldn't describe it. I just kept saying, "This is really weird," and how I'd never imagined anything like this. I was looking at my computer screen, but at the same time I was looking at myself through a crystallized wall with diamonds. I looked like a hybrid between a cockroach and a human. 1:11 a.m. Everything is very diagonal and moving. I felt very weird. Noticing my perception of the effects changes very quickly. I was taking notes of new feelings every minute at this point. 1:17 a.m. Someone sent me a link to a psychedelic website and I spent 5 minutes staring at the trippy animations. After leaving the website, I began to think through the fact that everything around me was moving, and I wrote down, "I have this theory that nothing ever moves. You're just so tripped out." The effects were overwhelming at this point, far, far beyond what I expected. As I wrote notes, my scribbled words were moving and growing and squirming. At some point near here, I got a huge wave of nausea and went into the bathroom to vomit. I sat by the toilet for a bit, then decided I wasn't going to be sick and went back into my room and smoked some more weed to deal with the intense nausea. 1:24 a.m. I draw a scribble on my notepad and it's the most beautiful piece of art I've ever seen. Still feeling extremely weird, also uncomfortable. Lower back aches and feels cold. This aching feeling stays with me for the duration of the trip. 1:32 a.m. I discover closed-eye visuals. It's like a vortex of glowing arrows that make up a runway for my mind, and when I dive down the vortex, it explodes into an amazing light show. It's so intense that I can't keep my eyes closed for long. I try to listen to music, but the music that was recommended to me is very strange psychedelic music, and it unsettles me. 1:37 a.m. Love is the meaning of life. Love exists. Love is existence. Around this time, I'm deciding that this is weed on steroids. 1:47 a.m. I find my kitty and try to lie down and cuddle with her. I can't sleep, obviously, but I do begin to come in contact with the death state. It's confusing and scary at first, and I resist it. 1:56 a.m. I get back up and start doing some thinking, realizing the following things. First, I have to keep reassuring myself that I took a drug. I was starting to come to the understanding that I didn't actually take a drug because I didn't actually exist. I felt myself jumping around in time to various points during the trip where I had the exact same mindset and realizing they were all the same point. I felt that I was just one and that inside that one I was imagining life. And with the drugs, I was able to break out of that imagination to see that there is no such thing as time or existence. 2:30 a.m. I declare that I exist as a human to tell the infinite intelligence that it's tripping. Everything is one. I realize that I am experiencing the death state, where you go back to the everything that you came from. I felt like life is just a brief break from complete understanding and pure love, and that during life, your mind is finite and clouded. When you take psychedelic drugs, you allow your mind to step out of its reality and understand that everything that it comes from and returns to. This scared me because I still had the natural human fear of death, but the actual concept of death was not nearly as terrifying. 2:38 a.m. I felt like my life was ending. I was too tripped out to remember that the death state is a temporary existence when on drugs, and I felt like I was at the very end of time and that my entire existence was closing around me. I convinced myself that everything has existed and it was time to go, but I kept fighting it and trying to come up with excuses to keep living. They always led me to the idea that everything is one and everything has existed, and back to the closing call of my life. 2:55 a.m. Time is pushing me forward. Nothing exists yet, so I am being pushed forward into new existence. Since I had reached the end of my existence, but death didn't come, I felt that I was on the brink of reality and the brink of an expending existence. I believe that everything that exists is one, and death state is a life state. I live as I die, as one. 3:05 a.m. I discovered a life purpose. The infinite intelligence gave me a body to live. I exist to live. Living is love. I live to spread love and to help people enjoy their living, including myself. I keep thinking I'm about to die, and I keep realizing I'm going to live. I think if I go to sleep, I'll never wake up. I keep thinking about how everything is one, and I'm pushing through time. And at 3:20, I decide that I can sleep now because I know I'm going to wake up and keep living. I don't go to sleep, but I am not afraid of the idea anymore. 3:21 a.m. The closed eye visuals are so vivid and often taking the same form as the open eye visuals that I almost can't tell when my eyes are open or closed. 4:03 a.m. Tried to smoke some DMT. Didn't vaporize correctly, got a very small hit. Was like a jolt of energy that pulled me out of the learning state and let me start enjoying the trip. Music was amazing, petting my kitty was amazing, and I no longer feared death. My lower back was aching and made it so I couldn't sit still for very long, and nausea was still coming and going. 4:25 a.m. Smoked again, vaporized it properly. I was in a new dimension when my eyes were closed. No sense of reality self. I was in a 3D geometric playground and playing games with two little kids. They could climb through holes in one wall and pop out another wall behind me. This world was crystal clear with none of the cloudy, vibrant, or moving effects of the 2C-E. Things moved in parts, like a sphere opening up to reveal a new room or a square on a pole rotating. I was listening to tarantella music, so the kids were dressed as Italian villagers and acting mischievous. Once I open my eyes, I find that I leave my body whenever I close my eyes. For a good 10 to 20 minutes, I'm able to have an out-of-body experience into another dimension whenever I close my eyes. 4:40 a.m. Everything is amazing and electric. My keyboard is glowing and thriving with electricity. The keys are spinning at an insane speed and letting off enormous energy. I can't read them, but I type out of memory. Closed-eye visuals no longer send me to a clear other dimension, but they are otherworldly and epic. I actually can't even remember what I saw at this point. I just remember telling myself it was too complicated and amazing to describe and letting myself just sit back and enjoy them. 5 a.m. I revised my previous understanding to this. The infinite intelligence sent parts of itself off to become humans. We are part of the one, but we are individual. Life exists for the sole purpose of enjoyment in the one. So help other people enjoy life. It's all the same. Love holds us all together. Live life helping others and serving others. Help spread love and happiness. 5:08 a.m. For the past 20 minutes, and for probably the remainder of the trip, I could see blue faces and everything. It was almost like blue circles in a grid-like pattern, and each face was melded into a hand, making a weird hand movement. Never stand in the way of love. 5:15 a.m. Taylor Swift sounds like an angel. 5:20 a.m. I started playing Assassin's Creed. Here are the highlights. Ezio Auditore is not being controlled by Desmond. He's just insane and tripping balls going around killing people. I could see things in the graphics and art that I couldn't easily find after checking again sober. All of the minute details like glow, energy, the the 3D grid underneath you when in training mode. It looks like lines moving around sober, but while tripping I can clearly see them in the deep 3D representation. Eagle vision was the coolest thing I have ever seen in my life. 5:50 a.m. Keyboard keys are becoming visible. Everything is still moving. I lie down again with my kitty for a while. 6:35 a.m. Things aren't as intense, but still pretty trippy. 7 a.m. Feeling pretty normal, finally get myself to sleep. The after effects were sluggishness and some slight nausea for the whole day after I woke up. For about a day or two, I made a lot more mistakes typing. Minor things like pluralizing random words, but it seems to have gone away now. I used to hate the word love and everything about it, but now I see that love holds everyone together. Having seen the death state, I no longer fear death. I feel like I have purpose in life, and I feel like beneath atoms and particles, everything is connected by love. Even though I handled the trip well, I don't intend to trip again anytime in the foreseeable future. I might smoke some more DMT at some point this summer, but for now, I'm not even smoking weed. It's not like it was a bad experience that's turned me off from drugs. I came to them for a learning experience, and that's what I got. They've served their purpose, and for now, they aren't needed.